The best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Joining me today on Trending is Cristina Pineda. She's a professional matchmaker. She's a founder and a matchmaker of Matchmakers in the City. And Cristina, lately, something that's been on my mind immensely. I was on Slate magazine or slate.com the other day, and an article popped up titled, "I met the guy I've been desperately searching for, except he's ugly." It's written and signed by Make the Eyes Grow Fonder. And the gist of the question is this: can you build attraction to someone with time? Should I cut my losses and hop back into the dating scene? Now, in the question, she expresses how, like, this guy's treating her great. He's putting all this effort. Like, she is digging this relationship, but she's just not attracted to him. And she's just surprised by that. It's interesting because it sounds like it's not that big of a deal, and that, like, she's totally all in, but then she looks at him, she's like, eh. I think that some of my thought, though, is too, a lot of women are getting married later. And sometimes I think we have this expectation that, like, the looks and type and body type and all of that of what you would expect, let's say, in your teens and 20s is sometimes what women are still holding on to well into their 30s and 40s. And, people are starting to age. Not that you're old, but you're starting to age. Your body's changing. You're maturing. Your skin is getting older. Like, things have changed. And I think Hollywood and, like, our brains just being silly and immature about this are still looking for, like, those characteristics that are attractive in a 18 to 25-year-old. Do you think that's the case as well? And is age playing a role in this, like, I'm not attracted to someone, but he's really great?
Could be. I think it's especially true with people who are not as in tune with the Lord and not as in tune with themselves. So it's, yeah, I see that happening with people like that. But if people are more dialed in and more down to earth, they have more of an understanding of who they are and the kind of person who would be a good physical match for. They're just more realistic. But actually, we have seen that there's a shift of the kinds of men who our female clients want to be matched with by us. And I thought of two particular female clients. One who is dating a very attractive but jobless man who she supported financially, and another female client who got cheated on by her very attractive man. One of the clients now desires a good, in quotes, a good Jewish man, and the other wants more of a nerdy man who is down to earth, smart, and successful. And that just reminded me of you and I, Timmerie, talked about the concepts of medium ugly men and hot rodent boyfriends, both of which are gaining popularity in the dating world for their more for the men's more relationship worthy characteristics that rather than perfect looks. And yeah, I just thought that was interesting that even these female clients who we've seen come in over the past year or 2 years, that they've seen, especially during childbearing years, that stability is crucial when in dating, when a relationship leads to marriage, rather than that perfect physical look.
Yeah. Now, I have a lot of single friends who are in their 30s, and you see this in your family, you see it in friends today. And I think all of us have this, like, weird position of, like, sometimes being asked for advice, sometimes giving unsolicited advice. And one of the things I've kind of seen a push back and forth on in the culture, and even in conversations I've had with friends, is at a certain point, like, as they're rejecting every guy out there that, like, you're saying, well, what about this person? How about that person? And I hear a lot of, like, well, he just isn't my type in terms of looks. Like, looks keep coming up, and I'm kind of astounded sometimes. I'm like, I don't think the guy's bad looking. And there's this, like, balance between, some people think, well, hey, beggars can't be choosers. You should give anyone a chance if they're dating and there's, like, even a remote connection or interest if the person's nice. And then on the flip side, you're seeing a lot of this, like, rejection of, I am absolutely not settling unless I'm totally attracted to the individual. Where do you think the means is? Where's the balance for singles in navigating this side of it?
That's a great question. Well, we know that looks aren't everything. And it's important to give him a chance, give the man a chance. People's personalities totally change their attractiveness level. And to this woman, the Make the Eyes Grow Fonder woman, I think she actually is attracted to him because she wants to keep dating him, even though she thinks that he's ugly. So attraction is not just about looks, first of all. But I definitely recommend that she keep dating him until she reaches SRS. Well, sudden repulsion syndrome is when you're dating someone and then you hit this, I guess, visceral experience of disgust of the other person. And it could be that you just would rather sit at your home, curled up in your couch, than go on another date with this person. It's a visceral reaction. And I recommend that anyone actually who's dating and whose deal breakers line up. They both have to want to get married. They want to have children, religious compatibility. So those three things have to line up. Otherwise, don't continue seeing this person. But if that lines up and you haven't hit SRS yet, keep dating. And just a small celebrity example of this is Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco. They may not look like the perfect physical match, but in an interview that Selena did, she said, I have to say overall, it's the safest that I feel, and it's been really lovely, and I've only grown through it, so it's awesome. It's just a small example of how, if you look beyond, maybe you're not completely only physically attracted to this person, but that relationship can deepen as you get to know that person and get more exciting, you can get more attracted.
Yeah, I love that. And, it was making me think too, on the flip side, I personally have seen that a lot of people think that it's okay for them to comment on the looks of friends and family members who are dating someone, like to comment on the looks of the person they're dating. And I think that our loved ones, friends, family can have such a huge influence on us that, like, we have a strong responsibility. Like, it's really not us who's dating the person, and it's not us who should have any right to say anything, even if we think so-and-so looks better. Just so important to kind of just butt out of it. Like, even the slightest comment, like, really him? Or like kind of those surprise, shocked things. Like, we need to have a little bit of like virtue of like temperance and modesty when it comes to our speech with regard to who other people are dating. And it's funny because I think I might have told you this before. I was at an event a couple years ago, and I ran into a childhood friend of mine's mother, and she was updating me on how all the family was doing. And I was super excited because one of her daughters, who had been single for a really long time, so deeply wanted to be married and have babies, was engaged. And they were getting ready to celebrate the wedding in a couple weeks. And I was so excited. And she goes, yeah, the mom says this to me. And maybe it was just said in a private setting, but I was still shocked she would say this about her daughter's forthcoming husband. She goes, yeah, he's really not that good looking. And she goes on to say, but he really loves her. He treats her well, but yeah. And she's like making this face like she really was not like thinking this guy was good looking. And I'm just laughing because I'm like, you're not the one who's supposed to be attracted to him. And I'm just thinking, I really hope you never said this to your daughter in any way, like even slightly, like even the facial expression you're making right now. I really hope in no way whatsoever that was shared, because either you have like this rejection of what mom's saying in one respect, or you have this like embarrassment or discomfort that like, hey, so-and-so really doesn't think he's that good looking. Maybe he isn't. And I should just, bear with it. There are just so many things that can go on in your mind that I think that this is a real issue of us commenting or making faces on the looks of people we know on whom they date.
Yes. If you're a person who is dating someone who someone has made a comment about him, I would advise you to just always bring that back to prayer, to really bring that to the Lord, bring that to your spiritual director in order to counteract that lie, because you're still with this person. That person is beautiful in many ways, and that's the reason why you're with him. Mm-hmm. So don't let what they say distract you is what I would advise.
Someone just commented, my dad didn't like my boyfriend because he said he had skinny arms. Like, I mean, this is the perfect example. And as a female, to hear that, like, oh, so you start to question, maybe he couldn't protect me. Maybe he's a little wimpy looking. Like, you psychologically go into this, like, wild place. Like, we live in such, like, a social media, gossip, magazine, visual culture that I am just astounded. I'm astounded at the way in which we think that we can comment on other people's physical appearance, even if we think we mean well or it's not a big deal or we don't know them.
Right, right. And I do think a lot of this comes from the parent generation of just people getting married at this time and how that was just more common in those days. I think even though social media is more prevalent right now, I think people have a little more of a sensitivity to that. Younger people have a little more sensitivity. I do notice that sometimes the older generation seems to feel like they can say these things. And especially dads and some overprotective moms will just want the best in their minds for the child. And they think that has to do with physical perfection. But we all know that that's not true. And it's so hard. So as a parent, please just really take that to heart. It's so hard for a child to hear you say that. If you want the best for her, you want her with someone who has the qualities of a good husband, or if you want the best for him, the qualities of a good wife. Those are the things to focus your energy on, either praising or, oh yeah, he just didn't show up on a few dates of yours. That's not husband material.
Like what you just heard? Share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.